Stories, Episode 21, Collapse. Welcome back to another episode of Iron Stories. What happened so far? We are in this weird place with Jebran and Katania in this tanglewood of forbidden blood. And as it turns out, it is a flashback to our first episode or second episode like that. Already ventured into this dark forest with a completely different character that died in here, and it's like 100 years later or more, and this place has been thoroughly corrupted by maybe something that is happened here like this 100 years before, where we opened this tomb with Kaivan, and probably stuff got out, and it has previously it was there was just a bit of corruption seeping in, and now it has been this forest has been completely ravaged. And all the animals within have been turned into these kind of things that we saw first saw with Jebran and Katania on the island. Now they see it here again, and they also saw a bit of it in the Underkeep. So, and in the mines. So now they see it again here. So they found this forest a bit in a unwillingly, maybe. And now they tried to get out of it, or at least Jebran tried to get out of it with haste and maybe foolishness, and within the thicket that there was here, they got attacked by one of these iron-racked boars. So this boar that has been partially transformed or has partially covered with this crystal-looking iron protrusions, and with some shiny patches where wounds would have been. So basically, yeah, the iron that has transformed this somehow into this beast that is now charging, or has once charged Jebran and is now charging again, so it's like taking or turning around. So it has charged into Kaivan and Kaivan. No, Jebran. Kaivan is someone completely different. So he has run into Jebran as he was going through the thicket, like waiting left and right with his axe to make a path, and by doing that he woke up or disturbed the boar, and has attacked him, which Jebran I think he fall down onto his ass, and now the boar is just making a wide circle and charging at Jebran again. Right as Jebran yells at Katania to prepare, and fight this thing. So I would say they prepare to get into a fight here. So I don't know if so. Jebran definitely is going to enter the fray. It doesn't make any difference to. So I think roll to determine who is in control. If you are, yeah, I think I'm just facing off against my foe. I don't think I can move into a position, or I can definitely not ambush it. So I mean, for Jebran at least, so he's definitely rolling it to face off. I mean, he sees it, and he's on his ass is his axe lying besides him, and he's just grabbing it and maybe at least get a bit up, so he can take a swing at the boar when it comes charging in again. Maybe to at least to get on the knees, to have like a steady position to like just hold the axe with two hands and swing it when it charges. So yeah, so Jebran, I would say here is just facing off against the enemy with hard. So that's a weak hit, which means so I can either take initiative, or I can, so by preparing to act, or I can bolster my position and take momentum, and thus not gaining initiative. And I think for him it makes more sense for him to bolster than preparing to, well, bolster to position and prepare to act sounds almost similar, because yeah, but I think he's more bolstering his position. So he's like getting on his knees, clutching the axe in his two hands and waiting, instead of like jumping up and charging, I guess. So I guess it's probably more likely that he is like trying to bolster his position at this point to diminish the amount of damage that he is getting in. Okay, and so Katania, I mean, she hears, she's not too far behind Jebran. She's basically walking along the path that Jebran has brought into the thicket as he was moving along into it. So so she would have seen the boar like coming from the right, moving over Jebran and then taking the circle, and circling maybe both of them. So she could try to like she would be more in a position to make an unaware strike against it, because the boar maybe is just focused on one target now. So she's more likely to have maybe a bit of advantage to doing that. She is also a cutthroat, so she wants to be more to be more to be more trying to be more of shadowy thingy here. She's not that good in shadow, to be fair. Um, so so she could try to do that, or she can also just face it, which maybe also. I mean, I don't think she can ambush here. Doesn't make sense. And yeah, why not also like let her like face it? I don't think moving into position would take a longer time. It's like it's more like if they would have sawn the boar in like grazing, and then they chose to like encircle it and move into position, so that would probably take more time. And I think this is just a more of a fight or flight situation here, so you have to react quickly. So I think facing off directly makes more sense for her as well. But maybe her reaction is a bit of a different one. But she gets a strong hit here, with an interesting rule, to say the least. So strong hit gives her the advantage, or gives her the initiative, and as well gives her a momentum, which she has a quite high momentum currently. And this would make also sense from a narrative standpoint. She's a bit behind. She has the advantage of being, or the boar is currently focused just only in Jebran, so she has a bit more of an advantage against the boar, so she can just like hit him, and the boar just doesn't know what hit it. Probably the attention will shift to Katania once she does that, but I think from a perspective of being behind Jebran, and a bit helping him, this will make maybe more sense. But I would say still the boar is running towards Jebran currently, and I mean it takes Katania time to bolster up her position or preparing here. It first runs directly to Jebran, and Jebran, the only thing he can do, as he is, he quickly gets up to a kneeling position. So I think that's the most he can do in such a short time. Grabs his axe that was thrown beside him. It was luckily not thrown too far. So he can grab it and re-grab it with his second hand as well to make it a two-handed weapon. It doesn't change here anything, but he's like just putting all his weight onto his foot. So he's basically kneeling with one knee down and one foot, and just pushing the weight as much down as possible to brace against the possible impact from the boar as he's hitting him again. Of course, the boar has two tusks, and maybe on one of the tusks, has broken off, but in its place there is this another one of these irony crystals protruding out, maybe a bit crooked from it, and a bit longer than the other tusk that seems to be still intact. So it's a fearful thing here. So he knows that. So the most he would at least like to do, if he's not able to like land a strike, to at least like divert the tusks or the head in such a way, so at least he gets like he's fine with like getting hit maybe broadside, so that maybe the flank is pushing him into him, but not with the tusks that might probably gore him. So that's he most probably just tries to deflect the path of the boar into a more advantageous position, so he can then strike with his axe. So he's trying to prepare here, or he's preparing here, waiting for the impact of the now charging boar again, like face on. He can see, like, well, he probably can't see because there's still a thicket around it, but he can hear just in front of him getting louder and louder as the thicket is pushed away and small branches are breaking on the feet or on the hoofs of the boar as he's charging against Jebran. So he's trying to clash it. So it's probably with iron because it's at close range here. Okay, so that's a strong hit again, or strong hit at least. So I'm rolling really good on my challenge dice. By the means I mean it, I don't roll that too well. So the boar charges against Jebran, and he's able to with the back of his axe. So he is like, so he's facing the into the direction where he thinks the boar will charge at him, and he's like facing the axe into there, and the boar comes, and he's like purposely, like before the boar is even in range, swinging to the left, and then with the backhand, so with the blunt phase of the on the other side, or is it maybe a two? So an axe could have one sharp side and one blunt side, or it can have two sharp sides, which is like a double axe at that point. But I think it's just a normal one hand or one axe. It's the normal thing you would see in a anywhere, I guess. So there's a blunt side on it. So with that, because the first swing like goes before the head of the boar, and then with the back swing, he pushes away. It maybe goes a bit in the head and a bit in the flank of the boar, and this pushes away the boar from its track head that it was facing directly to Jebran, and which he was fearing about. So he pushes it away to the right into the thicket, and is able to hit him. So he regains his initiative, and he's also doing quite some damage. And even with it's not the so I would say it doesn't do that much damage because it's a blunt phase of the axe. It's more of an impact damage that's still maybe just from the force of it and from the momentum that the boar has and that got stopped of it may break one or two of his ribs as the blunt phase of the axe is going into the side of the boar, and then of course the boar topples a bit, and this allows as well Jebran to reposition himself, regain his posture, maybe stand up and to be able to like swing from above to the boar. So I would say that, and as he's like doing that and swinging from above, like this is maybe even a one swell or one swoop of thing. So he's like with the backhand is pushing away to the right the boar, and then as he's like doing that, he's getting up, and then because he is moving the hand to, or having the backswing to the right, he can get the axe in one swoop or in one movement again up behind his back, and then swing downwards and hacking into the boar, into the flanks, its health, and there is now a gashing wound besides the boar, which is quite heavily bleeding right now. And again, there's this sickly black ooze coming out of it that has this unnatural shimmering in its flow. And from behind comes Katania and tries to ram her dagger into the neck of the boar to end this quickly. So she is as well striking out against it. And I would say because the boar is also unsuspecting at this point, I mean, he just got pummeled, and as well, she gets to I think she gets a bit of a more of an advantage here. So because I'm not really needing the additional harm, I say I take the +2 to hit. So I'm more likely to make it stick. So I again attacking close quarters. And yeah, it's not surprising that this is a strong hit. So I inflict my harm against it. I think I even get a momentum here. Yeah. I get a momentum, so I'm now +9 momentum with her, and I ram or she rams the dagger into the side of the neck. That is now that the boar is like laying on its side, a gashing wound across its torso from where Jebran hacked into the beast. And now Katana is like jabbing her dagger into the neck of the beast and ripping it open as well. Yeah, that the thing is just way damaged or thing. So I can now try to conclude this fight here now. It's a strong hit again. I have a 10 on progress. I mean, it's just way too quick. This thing is just bleeding out here. Just from the whole momentum it's in itself, it had was used against it, and killed, and I think it took some damage as his from Jebran when he got pummeled, I think, last time. So Jebran is a bit shaken here, of course, from getting run into from the side, and he's there's maybe like a wound where one of the tusks, or just from the blunt force, there is a wound on his side, maybe on his legs where he got pummeled into, and he's looking at the wound, and as well looking at the at the boar here, and he sees again, now that it is dead and lying before them, is again this familiar or similar thing that he saw with the bear on the island. This as I said, this protruding iron crystals, the unnatural shiny spots on what looks like open wounds on the or like previous open wounds that have gone back to like scar tissue, but the scar tissue is like has like little iron flecks in it, so it shines when the light is right, and as well as the blood that is dripping out, or what should be blood that is dripping out of the wounds that they inflicted, also has like this sparkling things in it. So it's like glitter in blood, just like a blackish ooze that has this glittering shiny things in it, specks in it. He's also familiar with those, and so he's quickly backing away from it, and as well is like Katania that put her dagger into the boar's throat, and is now pulling out her dagger again. He's also like with the other hand, he's also like pushing away Katania from the carcass, or from the dead boar before them, ushering her not to touch anything, because he doesn't know what happens. And she was unconscious for the bear fight, I think, for the most part, because she got overwhelmed by the voices in her head, so she wouldn't notice, and she wouldn't have seen this before. So she is not aware. She only saw this what similarly looked like at the underkeep with the kids. That they found the dead bodies of the kids that they found that had similar things in here. So she doesn't have like a direct connection to the bear. I mean, maybe she saw the bear after she reawakened. Or were they overrun? No, I think they weren't directly overrun by the husks at that point. But yeah, she is just maybe not that fully aware, and both of them aren't like fully sure what happens that transforms these beasts, or transforms anything actually in these things. And it's just, they're a bit of unsure, and as well, and now I think also like Jebran is a bit of kind of a bit worried, because the boar wounded him a bit, and he's like making a tourniquet, or like trying to stop the bleeding a bit, with some cloth wrapped around it, maybe some herbs. So he's like wondering, can he be is he turning as well? The question is when, what would he then turn into? Of course he doesn't really know it, because there were some, and I think even Katania was a bit like, or he was a bit already a bit injured by the bear, and he didn't turn, or she didn't turn, so it might be a longer process. But I mean, he is basically telling Katania to get them as quickly as possible, as far from here as possible. So maybe it's just more of a prolonged when they are more how do you say when they when they're longer exposed. That's the word I was saying. So maybe it's the if there's an exposure here that takes a prolonged exposure, and if that maybe this is the case. So he's again getting up, tending to his wounds as little and as quickly as he can, and again ushering Katania to push further ahead, to push hopefully out of this forest. He's now even more he wants now even more to get out of here, and it's maybe still more of a hasty decision. And Katania tries to plead with him, I would say, to not take decisions foolhardily. He always told her to make wise decision, to make thought of decisions. That way you get surprised less, which is a good thing, which lets you survive more. If you get surprised less by things, and if you don't expect certain things to be, then it's more better. So I would say she tries to I would say more or less like compel him. So she tries to convince him to slow it down a bit. Yes, she wants to get out of here as well as him, but they shouldn't do this without with not thinking about consequences, and about they should try to track better where they're going. So she's trying to compel him, and I think they share a bond here, so I even get to say +1 here. So basically it's she tries to get back a bit what she has learned. And this roll is really great. So, unfortunately, I can't see this, but I have to tell this. So I rolled for a compel here, and so I rolled a 6 on my action die. So which gives it, because she has a +3 on heart and a +1 because she has a 1. It's a 10. So I should have had anything, but it's still a weak hit because I rolled a 1 and a 10 on the challenge dice, which is really at least I didn't roll a double 10. This would have been way. So it's a weak hit. So I think Jebran maybe sees a bit the wisdom in quote unquote in her words. She is turning his own words against him, which on one hand he's happy that she has learned something, but of course it's always a bit disheartening if you have to get reminded of things you have said before. So it's a bit of a it's okay in a sense of that. Yeah, you've learned something, but don't use what you have learned against me. Kind of this situation. So he's happy, but at the same time a bit broken in his pride, maybe a bit. And he's maybe like so lashing out a bit passive aggressively, and telling us, lead on then, wise tracker explorer, show what you can. So it's just basically passive aggressively, more or less, telling us, yeah, well, if you say we should look, do better. I tried. If you think you can do better, do it. So Catania is complying to that. I think that's more or less the condition of the compel. So that means that she is now trying to go ahead, and it is, as I said, there's still this lingering fog, and the thicket doesn't make it easier as well to track where they could go out. But maybe Catania has a different approach to the whole thing. She maybe doesn't try to find the path that they took the night before they got lost in this forest. So she's more or less like trying to find a safe path. She doesn't really tries to find the direct approach to get out, but she tries to find a safe path. So it may take them a bit longer, but it's safer for them to track. So it's more it's a bit of a different approach, but hopefully or maybe it's a more safer path to get them out, and in the end has maybe more of a success chance than just trying to just retrace your steps. And the forest, as it looks like, makes it more difficult to retrace your steps anyway. So let's just go ahead and make better decisions to make a safe path. What even could be construed as safe path is a different story. But at least that's what she tries, I would say, at least. So let's see. It's a weak hit. Now I roll all these 10s on my things. So I have to roll another D100 to see. It's a 37, which means I mark progress, but I reveal a danger, which is not good, which I definitely not like. Where's reveal a danger? Reveal a danger now. Check the theme card. Okay. Imminent collapse or destruction. Okay, that's interesting. So okay. Whatever. So there is so Catania, as per the instructions, so to say, from Jebran, is taking the lead, and so she is maybe even tracking the path that the boar has taken, because basically the path has been carved away, the branches and thicket has pushed away from where the boar has walked through it or rushed through it, so it's more or less like a path that has been carved into the thicket. So that's maybe a better way to go through it. So because the whole thicket is like briary and thorny in itself, it would make sense to have like the least resistance, and especially since she's leading the way, she doesn't have like the big axe as Kaivan could, so she can. So she is choosing this path that already has been carved by the boar as a more or safer approach to go through. So she walks through there, and this also, as I said, helps her because she doesn't have to care about the whole thorns, etc. From the things. And she can keep also, or she's trying to keep an eye out for anything else rushing through the same corridor or same path that they're now taking her back. And she could also imagine that the boar just doesn't live in this thorny thing. So maybe from whence the boar came, there may be something more secure or more open on the other end. So they go they go through that. So it takes them maybe like, or it's maybe like 5-10 minutes where they walk through the path that the boar has carved out, and they hit the other end of the thicket, which goes more back into the clear forest, well, clear again, quote unquote, forest floor, which just the fog on the near it, and where they get into a space where it seems that wherever they are, there seems to be some sort of situation here where this boar maybe have even ravaged before he or it came rushing through the thicket. And just on the first, so there's like the big tree trunks that Katania can see, and she can see on some of them there are clearly some marks where the boar has rammed into them. There is even one or two that has toppled over one of these trees. And as they walk into this area, the first thing that Katania can hear, because she is observant, because she is trying to read the situation, to read the room, so to speak, to read the forest as much as she can. She can hear already some crackling and things before in front of her. So the boar clearly has taken, it's probably maybe some bad luck, coincidence, that the boar has taken this route directly to them. So the boar maybe was just maybe rattled or whatever, and rushed through the forest, and in doing that has knocked onto the one or the other tree that has died just from the corruption itself. So it's more brittle wood that could easily be rushed through it, and the boar, even with the added weight, so to speak, from all the iron in its blood, has like dislodged this membered some of the trees in a clear path of destruction that Katania could see as she's getting out of the thicket, from the path that the boar has taken, and she can hear the cracks and crumbles of some of the trees that are beginning now to collapse and fall down. And as it looks like they are, Jebran and Katania are right into the path of some of these trees that are now falling. So there's like falling down, and with it like cracking over some other trees, taking them with them. I don't know. I would say that's something that would happen. So she could see clearly there was a path. Maybe the boar was even like fleeing from something, or there's something else, and they were just unfortunate to be in the path of the boar in the first place. So there's now this cracking, and the forest is, or some of the trees are falling down onto them. So now they have to try to jump out of the way, to not be toppled by these. So both of them are trying to like jump out of the way. So Katania sees it first. So she tries to jump away from it, and at the same time yelling at Jebran to watch out of the falling trees. So Katania has a strong hit, has even an opportunity here. Let's see what Jebran does. It's a weak hit. Okay, so I would say he takes another harm as. So Katania, because she's maybe small or more nimble, quicker on her feet, and she sees it first, is able to dodge away from most of the falling trees. There's maybe like one bigger tree trunk that comes crashing down, and there's like 2-3 smaller ones that are crashing down as well, that were in the path of the bigger falling tree trunk. Jebran being a bit behind, and maybe even still a bit tending to his wounds, and tending to his pride maybe a bit. There's also maybe flailing a little bit on some of the thorns that come out of the thicket. Is a bit more surprised, and he's able to as well move or jump out a bit. So he jumps a bit into the thicket again. So there's like the thorny patches of branches and stuff tearing into his side. Maybe some of them a bit into the wound that he tries to mend. and he maybe even has to deflect one of the smaller trees a bit, but it's still like taking like a bump on his upper arm or maybe on his shoulder as he's trying to bump it. So he's able to jump out of the way, but by doing so takes a bit of blunt damage and some of the thorns that are pushing into his side. So he's not that unfazed by the whole thing, and he's by doing so. I mean, he's the grumpy old man, and he's like lashing out at Katania as well for her decision making here. So okay, well, we're out of the thicket, but like out of the rain into the storm kind of things. And he's a bit cursing under his breath. He's maybe a bit reinstated in his pride that Catania didn't do much better than him. At least that. So that's a bit recovery from his pride, but of course, it comes with the disadvantage of him being hurt in the process of that, so he's I think even more pissed than he was before. Well, pissed is not really maybe he's in a really bad mood. He didn't like getting hurt unnecessarily, especially if he can't defend himself from it, if he wasn't aware. So like getting hurt out of a surprise, he doesn't like that as well. And if it's in a bar fight or something like that, he's happy with that because he knew what he goes into. But this he doesn't like. So they jump out of the way. There's like these trees crashing down on them. So Katania has an opportunity here, and I think, and I thought about this a bit, to conclude this into a story, to weave this into a story is, I would say that as Katania is as she's jumping away from the trees, etc., and as she regains her footing and looks at the carnage that has happened, she sees a figure approaching from the path of destruction, so to speak. That is walking towards them. It doesn't necessarily look aggressive, sort of, but it is unfamiliar to both Jebran and Katania, and it's this humanoid figure that has mostly like a pale ash gray, well, maybe not ash grayish, but more of a green grayish skin, where skin shows, at least. Everything else looks like leaves and branches upon the person. So it's where normally the clothes and the armor would be if there would be armor, is like these or these pieces of gear that seem to be have constructed out of wood and leaves, sort of, and the skin itself, again, it is this gray greenish skin that even has like what looks like some sort of like scales, but the scales are in the shapes of leaves, and the face is completely covered by a mask. That is, it's like a beautifully made wooden mask that completely covers the face of this creature, but there is like a crack going from the top of the mask to about midway, a bit above the nose of it, or of where the nose would sit, and it's cracked a bit to the side open. It's still covering, but there's like still again showing a bit of this green grayish skin underneath it. And there's these two piercing eyes in the mask, and it is, of course, neither Jebran nor Katania know that, but it is an old creature, or an old person we already encountered before. It is Nesana. And with that, we end this session and see what Nesana has to say or do in the next episode in this Tanglewood. Just, it looks like, and this is something I've thought of, that she is still in this forest and doing stuff in it. What exactly we will find out, but yeah, I would say this is fitting to bring the whole story a bit together, also from the first episodes. So I hope you like it, and I hope you join in again in the next episode. See you then.